All right, we're here to talk about Katie's artifact 2A through E. 2A, Katie, the outline in which you displayed was on your paper. So far, it fulfilled the requirement as far as it goes. I give you a 3 on that part of the course readings in a line. It's not fully developed at this point. You have some things that you need to add to your paper to bring it to where it needs to be. You know, it's the requirements for the rubric is you have 10 references to meet the requirement for 2A. So there's a quality not quite present at this stage. I put using the resources that you had outlined with help with the critical thinking portion of the paper. So bringing your resources together will help the reader understand that you're critical thinking and where you're going with it. Grammar, the portion that is complete looks great and it's correct. Organization, well, it's not completely done at this point. So to organize it to see that it's fully done, I need to see more of the paper that is done. Alignment with descriptors, not references were present incorrect.
I'm Tom, and I'm going to take a look at Katie's artifact 2B. Katie, I really like the synthesis of course readings that you put together. It seems to relate to your 2A work on best practices. It wasn't explicitly mentioned, but you seem to work together your narrative for the reader, so it's very clear and concise. Looks like you're showing 2/3 of the components of the rubric. You're still lacking the shares checklist with school improvement team. That's the part, Katie, that will take you up to that next level for accomplished. I think that's the next step, and when you get there, you'll be gravy. The discussion with PLC, your professional learning community, is obvious. Your checklist reflects that you researched your best practices and that there was a nice display and demonstration of your observable data. It's very thoughtful. I think you not only just go through the exercises, you think about the depth and meaning of all these events that we have to go through. I would like to see a little bit more narrative description, though. That's maybe where we graded you down a little bit. And as far as your language and for your mechanics and grammar, everything's formal. No mistakes that we can see on our first reading. As far as organization goes, the structure looks great. Add to the narrative and then demonstrate to this school improvement team your 2B, and then that will allow you to wrap things up pretty well. No descriptors aligned with this artifact, so we're going to move on to C, and I'll take a look at that as well. All right, under synthesis of course readings, the first requirement of the peer review, we do want to say, Katie, that the content is aligned with what we've discussed this semester. You always do a great job of bringing in, just like with 2B, bringing in what you've done prior to this, so the transitions are nice. There's a nice fluidity to your writing and how you put everything together, so it's easier for the reader to comprehend everything that's at play. Your rubric requirements, you've worked with others, obviously, to develop and document the process, and you've utilized the checklist of best practices. It's great stuff there. Those best practices that were developed in component B, artifact 2B, have been related to actual practices in the school. That's the most effective part, I think, of your evidence here, is that you put them together with actual practices in the school. The described research process includes a variety of data and a thorough description of the process of analyses to determine actual practices. And that's where the rubber hits the road. If you got research, you got best practices, you have actual practices, the actual clinical proof that you're doing the deal, man, that's administrative material there. That's great. I'm so impressed. Under the quality tab, the narrative is there, but I would include the best practices. Going back to Article 2B and to tie it all together, just a little bit sketchy there, maybe clean up that a little bit. And then mechanics and grammar are great, organization's great. I'm going to move on because there's no other strong points to put there. I'm going to talk about 2D, and then I'm going to let Jake take care of 2E for you. I was a little bit surprised with your 2D. There's an outline for the artifact. No external resource, no external resources yet, but you're planning to expand. I know because everything has been just top notch to this point. So that's the one place where we've marked a 1 down for you. So I know that that's forthcoming.
Can I see a copy of her 2D quick while we
Absolutely.
that? Thank you. I want to look over there. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
No problem. It's clear that you work with others, but we're looking for the gaps. You know, the rationale is present, but where are the gaps? We need to see that. Further, under the quality, it's still a work in process, and with time, it'll come and be really strong. So far, everything's very professional with your mechanics and grammar, and I think that with when you fill in the skeleton with some meat and sinews, everything will turn out just fine.
All right, so Katie, looking at your 2E, its appropriate sources have been used. So far, still it's a work in progress. You have it evidence as far as rubric. You work well, works with others, action plans. I don't see any pieces missing methods for a formal feedback. So I give you a 2 during this one. Your quality, your SIP is strong throughout, as well as the action plan. Needs to add more. You have your narrative's a little weak here. Some narrative rationale would help see the thinking, but the action plan clearly reflects this already. For what you have, it's professionally written. There's no mistakes in it. The appendix, the action plan. Where is the appendix? I ain't seen none of where you attached it to it. Organization of the action plan is logical, and it's reader friendly. It flows well. Make sure that you use your references where they can be certainly present. Okay, so overall, formatting didn't come overly corrected. Action plan looks great. More description in the action plan itself, more narrative would clear up some gaps in understanding your process. Now, discussing what me and Tom just did, give you feedback through 2 through A through E. In a nutshell, needed to see more of Katie. The style of writing that we have done so far in the papers with the APTEL, with you're add more to give us more. Give us more what Katie can normally see. We know what kind of leader you are because you show it in class, but give it in your writing as far as your course writings, relating to how you've taken it back to your school. That I can read it on paper, the leader that you are, and what you share with the student improvement team to help the students in your building to be successful, and as far as the other educators within your building.